Hi, welcome to Book Chat, a new video series from the CH Booth Library. I'm Anne, one of the librarians at CH Booth, and I'm here with some of my co-workers, Amy, Catherine, and Lucy, to talk about books. So the first book I'm going to talk about came out in April. It's called How Much of These Hills is Gold by C. Pam Zhang. This book is historical fiction, takes place during the California Gold Rush years, but also has a little touch of magical realism, as you can see by the cover. The plot centers around 12-year-old Lucy and her 11-year-old sibling, Sam. They've been orphaned after the death of their minor father, and they're forced to leave the racist mining town they grew up in. And they set off for the hills with a stolen horse and searching for somewhere to live in the Wild West, where Chinese and American mythology meet. So I really loved this book, and I liked how the story went back and forth between time, unveiling a little bit more of the backstory of the characters as the book went on. And although the story is set in the past, it also presents issues that are relevant for today, like the search for identity and belonging, what it means to have and be part of a family, and the fight for racial, gender, and class equality. And it's also just a great Western and coming-of-age adventure. So I highly recommend that book.
All right, I'll go next. I'm the YA librarian, so all of my books are YA books, but I think they can be appealing to both teenagers and adults. My first book is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. This was released this May. Elizabeth Acevedo is a poet, and she's also the author of The Poet X, and both of these books are novels in verse. And this book is about two sisters, two half-sisters who have the same father, but they don't know about each other. One lives in New York and one lives in the Dominican Republic, and their father goes back and forth between those locations to see them, and he dies in a plane crash going to the Dominican Republic. And so the book is about their grief and like finding out about each other, and it's a really beautifully written novel in verse. If you like The Poet X, I definitely recommend it, and I think it's really well done. So.
So hi, I'm Amy Schumann. I'm the head of reference at the library here, and I'm going to be talking about Darling Rose Gold by Stephanie Roble. And what I liked about this book is, you know how some books take a long time to suck you in and you need a lot of patience? I don't have a lot of patience right now. I know a lot of people don't. So it really brings you in from the very first chapter. You know stuff is gonna happen. It starts with Patty Watts, her last day in prison. She's saying goodbye to her cellmate. She's saying goodbye to the guard she likes. She's saying goodbye to one of her inmates who is her enemy. And then she's having her little thing with the warden. And the warden says, "Is someone coming to pick you up?" And the surprising answer is that her daughter is coming to pick her up. And the reason why it's surprising is she basically Munchausen by proxied her daughter for 18 years. And that's why she was in prison. And this is a story about the mother and daughter supposedly reconciling, but really, you know, there's something else going on between the two of them. So it's a thriller. It's a little dark. And I wouldn't recommend it if you have some disordered eating issues. But yeah, but it's a great book.
My turn. I'm actually going to recommend a series, a British detective series, my favorite. This one is by Nikki French, which is actually a pseudonym for a husband and wife team. They're British, and they write psychological thrillers. They've written many, but there's a series involving Frida Klein, a London psychotherapist in her 30s. She's very complex and serious, and one of her quirks is that she takes evening walks along the paths of London's buried rivers. They're still there. Good metaphor. And her main helper is Joseph, a Polish builder who falls through her consulting room ceiling when he's repairing it. She has a large coterie of friends and family who are often in her way. The books start with a Blue Monday, then Tuesday's Gone, Waiting for Wednesday, Thursday's Child, etc. We have all of the books at the library.
In a series makes it obvious what order you should read them in.
Yes, by the days of the month. And there is a very, very devious psychopath who is obsessed with Frida Klein throughout these books, and he comes and goes. I would highly recommend them.
Okay, so for my second book, I'm going to talk about The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This book has not been published yet. It's coming out very soon on June the 2nd. It's a part historical fiction, part family drama, recent history from the 1950s up to the 90s. It begins in a small Louisiana town founded by a mixed-race ex-slave, meant to be a place where others like him who don't fit in, neither black nor white, could live. And the story centers around two descendants of this founder. They're twins, Desiree and Stella, who decide to run away from their town for New Orleans when they're 16. And they live together there for a while before their lives split when Stella decides to begin living as a white woman. Such a great book. There's a lot of deep themes, kind of similar to the first book I talked about identity and belonging. It's also just a really good story about family dynamics and love and obligation with some really great writing, really puts you right into the story right from the beginning. And I don't usually choose types of family relationship stories, but I'm really glad I decided to read that one. I couldn't put it down, had to keep reading to find out what happened. It's just a really great read. Look for it next week.
So my second book is a graphic novel. It was released earlier this year. It's called Dragon Hoops by Jean Luang Yang, who he was the author of American Born Chinese and some other graphic novels. And this graphic novel is kind of about a basketball team, but you don't need to like it helps if you like basketball, but if you don't like sports at all, it's still a great novel. So Jean Yang is a character in the book. It's about the high school he teaches at, and he gets interested in the men's basketball team at the high school, and they're called the Dragons. So it kind of tells the story of each player on the team. And so it is kind of about basketball, but it's also just about the people at the school. So just like his other book, they're really well done. And if you like graphic novels, I definitely recommend it.
So my second book is Semicolon. It's a nonfiction book. I'm in charge of the nonfiction collection, so I felt like I had to do a nonfiction book. And this is a good book if you're the sort of person who gets into knockdown, drag-out fights over the Oxford comma. You're going to like this book. It's a very short book, so it's a quick read as well. And it just talks about the history of the punctuation mark, which sounds crazy, but the semicolon has actually been involved in many legal cases because it can really alter how something is read. And so they talk about these different legal cases it was part of. They talk about authors throughout history, whether they liked it or not. You know, they talk about dashes. I just liked it. So if you're the sort of person who likes Eat, Shoots, and Leaves, and those are the sort of grammar books, you'll like this one. If you're a nerd who likes, what's it called, diagramming sentences, you'll like this Semicolon book by Cecilia Watson.
Okay, I have another series to recommend, which is by Ellie Griffiths, which is also a pseudonym. Her real name is Domenica De Rosa, another British writer who writes the Ruth Galloway series. Ruth Galloway is a forensic archaeologist who lives by herself on the salt marsh. And it's just a wonderful series. Most of the titles have the word stone or something in the title. The first one is the Janus Stone. She has a wonderful group of friends, including Cathbad the Druid, and there is a policeman named Nelson whom she gets involved with, and his family. I would highly recommend this series as well. Try it.
Sounds great. Catherine, did you have another book to talk about?
Yeah, I have one more.
I did too. So I'll start with my last book. This is called Ninth House. This is not a new book. I think it came out in the fall, October or November, by Lee Bardugo, who is a YA author. This was her first foray into adult fiction. Also have a great appeal for teens because it takes place on Yale campus. So it's an atmospheric, very suspenseful. I'd consider it a realistic fantasy because it does take place in a real setting of Yale University, and very spooky. I was a little scared at some points reading it, but if you ever wondered how some students achieve so much and go on to great success in their life, this book has the answer. It's magic.
Oh.
They use magic to do all these fabulous things. And Alex, the main character of this book, is a scholarship student chosen to go to Yale by a mysterious group that puts her in charge of monitoring the secret societies that operate at Yale. They're not really so secret. People know they exist. And she has the ability to see ghosts. So that helps her keep track of what's happening. The ghosts are drawn to the magic that these secret societies use to create their power, and she is supposed to keep them in check and make sure people don't get hurt. And she becomes involved in a mystery surrounding both current and past murders of young women around the campus. So it is a fantasy, but I think it's linked to the other books that I chose, kind of like a theme for me this month, all about identity, family, fitting in, and how we perceive ourselves, and how we sometimes let our identity be formed by the way others perceive us. So there's some good themes for people of all ages in this book, and I really liked it. This was another one I couldn't put down, so I definitely recommend that.
All right, so my last book is Nixia by Scott Rankin. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but it's also the first book in a series. It was released a few years ago, but it was recently named a 2021 Nutmeg nominee in the middle school category. It's kind of like a sci-fi dystopian. I've heard it described as like the Hunger Games in space, so that's really all you need to know. But it's about a boy named Emmett who is recruited by this mega company to to leave Earth and go into space to a newly discovered planet, and they're trying to mine this substance called Nixia, which is like this mysterious, very valuable substance, and it's kind of like a competition. So if you like science fiction, if you like the Hunger Games, and if you like series, this is a really good pick for you.
Great. So I think we've got recommended some great choices here. I'm going to make a list and we're going to post them on our website for people to see. We've also got a new recommended reading form that we're going to put on our website. If you're not sure what you want to read, you could fill out this form and we'll be able to offer you some suggestions. So that's going to be posted on our reading page on the CH Booth Library website as well. And I hope you enjoyed our first book chat, and we're going to be doing a few of these. So thanks for watching.
Bye.